We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more.
That's crazy. He's literally saying, you're cannon fodder. Oh my God, there has to be a military mutiny at some point, right? Like, people have to be like, what the fuck are we doing? That's crazy. Statement number 8 by IRGC. Based on the continuous sound of ambulance sirens at American and Zionist bases, as well as field reports and intelligence monitoring, a psychological crisis unfolding among U.S. forces and Zionist settlers. It emphasized that sustained and targeted pressure by Iran's armed forces will further intensify conditions for them. Missile and drone operations will continue in a sustained and comprehensive manner, and further operational achievements will be announced to the Iranian people. This right here, if this is like the maximum amount of damage that Iran can put down, and they can sustain this for an extended period of time, it's not great for America or Israel. If they have more in the tank and they can actually increase the intensity, oh boy, it's really f***ed. It is really bad for America and Israel. One of the reasons why I'm saying this is because this is not like the 12-Day War at all. During the 12-Day War, it took quite a while for Iranian missiles to actually start penetrating the Iron Dome. Iran struck an area in occupied Palestinian territory earlier this morning, 6 hours ago. Iranians struck a bomb shelter. The number of deaths at the time that were confirmed had risen to 8 settlers. We think the number is even higher than that. If Israelis can no longer feel safe inside of their bomb shelters, that changes the risk profile for Israel overnight, instantaneously. Their appetite for death and destruction, like for the broader Israeli public, also comes from the fact that they have always felt protected. During the 12-Day War, you had a bunch of old people. There was some debris that fell. There were a couple people died. I believe it was like around 30 people. But for the most part, society was in a state of panic for sure, but they weren't in a state of real panic. It's the same principle with the United States of America. America is sheltered from the impact of its actions with the very little exceptions like 9/11, right? Blowback in the form of 9/11 was one of the very few instances where America actually received some consequences for all of their meddling in the affairs of the Middle East. This is the same with Israel. October 7 was part of that equation for sure. And once again, with the working knowledge that America would protect them and they would have unlimited weapons and they could just like go and wreak havoc around the region, they were still very comfortable. They were still very comfortable, right? This takes away that comfort. This takes away that comfort entirely. If they keep throwing salvo upon salvo, and the number of Israelis that die as a consequence of those ballistic missiles increases, all of a sudden, the calculation changes dramatically because, for once, Israel is the recipient of all of their death dealing. For once, they actually see penalties in the heartland. That does not happen normally. And they don't have the same appetite for war all of a sudden because now society is collapsing. Now it's unstable. This is in some ways an advantage that, you know, Palestinians have over the Israelis because all they've known is living devoid of any sort of bomb shelter whatsoever. All they've known is death and destruction. So there is a lot more punishment that they can withstand, even if they don't want to, because there's no other alternative. They've never actually seen another alternative. For Israel, they've never experienced this. Israeli society has never actually seen an endless amount of missiles coming in their direction where they're no longer safe inside of their bomb shelters. This causes the calculation to change dramatically, especially in a country with supremacist attitudes, with supremacist values. In some ways, Israeli comfort for the longest time is leading to Israeli weakness because they talk about how strong they are of a nation state, how proud they are and how militant they can be and how they can punish anyone and everyone no matter how people respond or whatever. But the reality of the matter is they're not used to this shit.
Oh,
look.
So motherfucker rocket! Oh my God!
And yes, the same could be said about Americans as well. Absolutely. Which, by the way, ironically, this guy is an American living in Israel. 4 people were killed by an Iranian ballistic missile impact in Beit Shemesh. Magen David Adom says footage shows the moment of the impact.
Oh, so motherfucker rocket! Oh my
This just happened too. Footage posted to social media shows what could be a submunitions from an Iranian cluster bomb warhead crashing down on Israel this evening amid a ballistic missile attack. Videos show some 24 fragments streaking through the sky. Now, before we get into the condemnations in international law, this is one of the consequences of severely violating international law. When you have a sovereign nation state who you open up a new theater of war with that has a ton of missiles, and your opening salvo is the decapitation strike of the entire leadership structure, they're gonna say, all right, well, you don't give a shit about international rule-based order or international laws whatsoever. We're not going to give a shit about it too. That's the other side of this story. This is part of the reason why you're supposed to abide by the rules, right? You're supposed to abide by the rules of conflict. You go in, you kill a bunch of, you shoot up a school in the most American and Israeli fashion, by the way. America loves its own indigenous school shootings, its own domestic school shootings, and America loves doing school shootings with their bombs overseas. Some school children are going to die, right? It's just, we have an endless appetite for murdering children. We just have to do it. But when you do that and you force people into a corner, just like the Palestinians on October 7 or leading up to October 7, they're going to say, all right, we got to fight out of this corner. We got to fight our way out of this goddamn corner. And that's precisely what's happening right now. For years and years, I have said, you got to stop. You got to stop. You can't do this. These violent designs will lead to violent ends. There will be a violent conclusion. My sibling is studying overseas in one of the Israeli cities that's getting bombed to shit. And even though I wish she wasn't in Israel, I'm terrified for her. Exactly. Like this is, and while Benjamin Netanyahu gets to fly out to Berlin potentially, I don't know if that's real or not, right? You know, your sister is stuck. And now the bomb shelters are not working. This was seen on Nablus, bro. It's raining bombs. Yeah, they're using fragmentation warheads. Cluster striking, cluster munitions. These are unpredictable. These don't actually go. I mean, that could just be pieces that... Everybody, that could be debris from interception, but everybody thinks, even if it's cluster bombs, you have to understand something. Everybody thinks only America and Israel get to deploy these weapons. Do you understand? This is something that America and Israel has utilized. As a matter of fact, the Iranian retaliation so far has not even remotely met the standard of what Israel has done to Palestine, what Israel has done to every other country, what Israel's done to Lebanon, deploying phosphorus, right? Chemical warfare, things of that nature. So like, I need you to understand something. The only reason why we were comfortable violating the rules of law is because we thought no one else would do it to people in the core. And now there is a fraction of that taste in the core, a taste of their own medicine. Reuters confirms the plane is in Germany. Israel has flown its official government aircraft to Germany and is parked for safety at Berlin's airport. Government sources said after U.S. and Israeli strikes killed Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and plunged the region into conflict. Media citing reports from Flight Radar 24 flight tracking service said the aircraft departed Israel early on Saturday afternoon, circled over the Mediterranean before flying into Germany in the evening. The flight had been registered in advance by the Israeli government, the government source said, adding that the only crew members were on board. Israel's state aircraft Wing of Zion is a Boeing 767 that has been specially equipped for official government trips. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think Benjamin Netanyahu is in Berlin. I think they're acting like it was just the crew that escaped in the Wing of Zion. I think he's absolutely in Berlin now. Oh my God. Yesterday I was saying there's no shot he like escaped to Berlin. He's in the Hitler bunker, bro. Benjamin Netanyahu's in the Hitler bunker. Oh, ain't no way. He's Führer maxing. He's in the Führer bunker. Rip out the ICC warrant right now. Slap him with it. I didn't want to believe this yesterday. I thought that was a little, that's a little bit much, but maybe he is. They did release this video of him today.
סיימתי עכשיו פגישה עם שר הביטחון, הרמטכ"ל וראש המוסד. נתתי הנחיות להמשך המערכה.
Yeah, I don't believe it. This is pre-recorded. 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 That motherfucker is in Berlin, bro. Oh, pre-recorded. AI pre-recording. Netanyahu says Trump fulfilled his dreams in bombing Iran. Israel now has the assistance of the United States. My friend, U.S. President Donald Trump of the U.S. military. This coalition of forces allows us to do what I have yearned to do for 40 years. You know what's really crazy about this? When I say this, motherfuckers go, excuse me, aren't you being a little anti-Semitic, Hasan? And then he just comes out and says it. It's so funny. Like, I say it, You say it. Everybody goes, excuse me, don't you feel like this is a little bit too anti-Semitic of you to say? It's like, motherfucker, he's saying it. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? Not observe reality so your sensibilities remain intact? Are you stupid? At some point, you got to recognize what's going on, right? It's crazy to me. It's actually crazy. There's literally people on Blue Sky that were watching American and Israeli bombs blow up school children in Iran. And they were like, you know what the worst part about this is? My feelings. Okay, I feel like this is creating an environment of anti-Semitism because a lot of people are cognizant of the reality, the dynamic between Benjamin Netanyahu and the current American president, Donald Trump. What the f do you want me to do? Lie? You want me to be like, no, actually, guys, no, Donald Trump totally is not being duped by Israeli intelligence, Benjamin Netanyahu. The 700 times that Benjamin Netanyahu came to the United States of America leading up to this incident had nothing to do with what's going on right now. He just totally came to that conclusion on his own, even though his own generals were like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. We're going to run out of munitions. China is looking at this, salivating. You know, China is literally watching all of our moves here. They're developing tremendous surveillance capabilities, and they know what our defense systems look like. They literally are going to have an accurate tabulation of how little missiles we have, which, by the way, there's no indication that China's going to do anything, but just still, that's still an operational weakness, right? Later down the line. And they were trying to tell Trump that, and Trump's like, no, Bibi told me I'd be a legend. Operation Fortnite Big Chungus commence. It's gonna be all right. Some Americans are gonna die, but that's a price I'm willing to pay. That's what happened. That's what's happening. It's happening right now. Motherfucker be like, bro, don't you dare say something that hurts my feelings. Okay, change your attitude. That's not my problem. POTUS, the Daily Mail. This is from Kaylin Collins. It's always been a 4-week process. We figured it will be 4 weeks or so. It's always been about a 4-week process or so. As strong as it is, it's a big country. It'll take 4 weeks or less. Oh, by the way, Trump seeks swift end to Iran operations. Oh, Iran got hands is literally what happened in the last 24 hours. They went from Iran is going to collapse. Iran is going to collapse instantaneously. The Iranian people are going to rise up and like murder the IRGC commanders themselves and take over the government and hand over the ballistic missiles to Israel and America because they love our pedophilic cabal. They love them. They're demanding to be cattle to the petro-capitalist pedophilia cabal that has destroyed every country in their vicinity thus far. They're definitely going to do that for us. And then all of a sudden that doesn't happen and they're like, whoa, what the yo, this shit's not like Hezbollah in Lebanon at all. A country that doesn't even have anti-aircraft defenses, okay? A paramilitary formation that has its own parliamentary party in Lebanon that was trying to do their very best with the limited amount of logistical support they got from Iran is not the same as the Iranian government, it turns out. They thought it was going to be like a Hassan Nasrallah situation. It turns out it's not a Hassan Nasrallah situation. Your entire analysis is based on the assumption that Iran is able to sustain this level of damage while U.S. Israel continues to destroy their missile launchers and that U.S. does not escalate further. Brother, my entire analysis on this is that there is an operational failure because I'm looking at what the American government has said thus far. Do I think that America and Israel don't have the capacity to escalate things further? Are you stupid? That's my expectation. And if I have that expectation, I'm certain Iran probably is aware of it too. I don't think they're going, oh, we're really cooking here. I know that. Do you think that's a solution? Do you think that's smart? Do you think that actually ends up leading to America's goals being achieved? Let's look at Trita Parsi and what he had to say about observations and comments from Trump and Israel's war on Iran. 1. Tehran is not looking for a ceasefire and has rejected outreach from Trump. The reason is that they believe they committed a mistake by agreeing to the ceasefire in June. It only enabled the U.S. and Israel to restock and remobilize to launch war again. If they agree to a ceasefire now, they will only be attacked again in a few months. True. For a ceasefire to be acceptable, it appears difficult for Tehran to agree to it until the cost of the U.S. has become much higher than it currently is. Otherwise, the U.S. will restart the war at a later point, the calculation reads. It took them years to finally arrive at the conclusion that the only way to get these guys to stop is by engaging in military deterrence. The calculation here on the Iranian side is we can send unlimited barrages of Shahed drones because America is so worried about defending Israel that they are not defending their own bases, and they're not even defending their own soldiers that are living around the bases right now, that they can just keep blowing up and cratering every single American military base in the region, while simultaneously also sending their longer range missile systems into Tel Aviv, into the heart of Tel Aviv, over and over and over again. That analysis is incorrect. If they get, no, what do you mean this analysis is incorrect? I don't think it's incorrect at all. They literally said no to a ceasefire. Donald Trump, according to Ynet, tried to get a ceasefire yesterday. Why did they try to get a ceasefire yesterday? Oh, we killed the Ayatollah. Come on now. You don't want us to punish you even further, right? That's what the American side is looking at right now. Why the fuck would they want a ceasefire right now? Why would they want a ceasefire right now? They should just keep pummeling Iran, right? That's what they're going to do. They're going to do that anyway. They're going to keep punishing the Iranian population even harder and harder and harder. And at a certain point, basically what will take place is the calculation on the American and Israeli side will change. The American side will change when they'll realize that, like, oh, the Iranian people are not actually rising up. They're not actually overtaking the government. So we have to punish them further with direct bombing. Because the first salvo, the opening salvo, killed a bunch of children, but it could have been much deadlier overall. It could have been much deadlier overall, but they didn't do that because they thought, oh, maybe we can get the Iranian population to rise up. What does this mosaic defense mean? Iran has activated decentralized mosaic defense, giving commanders full autonomy and decision making. What do you mean? That's what it is. It's exactly what you think it is. They have a decentralized contingency plan for continuously pummeling whatever their fucking priority targets are over and over again. If something like this, something like a decapitation strike happens, as in they plan it ahead of time. There are contingency plans for what takes place. Oh, you kill the leadership, you kill our general. We're gonna go and sit on top of these fucking missile systems and blow up, one group it might be blowing up Bahrain, for another group it might be blowing up the UAE, for another group it's actually pummeling Israel. Again, and I keep repeating this over and over again, their entire governance structure is designed around what is taking place right now, potentially happening. Their entire governance structure, their entire economy, their entire missile production systems, everything is underground. Their missile launchers are underground. Their missile silos are underground. Why do you do that? Well, you do that because you're worried about America eventually coming in and trying to blow up your fucking country. Your entire governance structure, your operational structure is also divided amongst different groups. They're like siloed in on their own, and they can operate autonomously. Because if America and Israel come in and like fucking kill your generals and your leadership, you don't actually collapse. Now, this doesn't mean that they will be successful. But what I'm simply saying is by observing reality, by looking at exactly what is unfolded in front of our eyes in observable reality, that Ayatollah Khamenei's assassination has not yielded the results that America and Israel thought it would. Judging by Trump's past performance in terms of like quick, swift action, bombing campaigns or kidnapping a head of state, and then being in and out, and then like going to negotiate with whoever remains with a leveraged position, with a better bargaining position. Donald Trump thought, or falsely believed, that Israel was going to, that Israel was right, and that Iran was going to concede immediately. They were going to be like, oh my God, you killed the Ayatollah. We're so sorry. We don't want our fucking entire government to collapse. We will do anything you want. We will, reduce our ballistic missile capabilities so that we don't hurt Israel's feelings ever again. I think that's what they thought was going to happen. That's why Donald Trump came out day one and literally said, Iranian people, now is the time to rise up. That could still happen. One incredibly scary aspect of America's design here, because it's so fucking repulsive, it's so goddamn evil, is the border. They are also striking the Iranian-Iraqi border right now. There are Kurdish militias inside of Iran and Kurdish militias outside of Iran that are directly equipped and trained by the CIA that are waiting to seize on this opportunity. They are probably going to try to send in, they're probably going to try to beef up sectarian fighting. And they're going to utilize, because they don't have any popular mobilization on the ground, they're going to try to make popular mobilization on the ground. So do you support these Kurdish groups as well? Fuck no. What are you, crazy? No, of course not. But be on the lookout for all of the coverage about how woke the Kurdish militias are that are trying to liberate Iran in the upcoming weeks. Okay, once they start writing about the brave female-only brigades of the Kurds, that's when you know. How many times do the Kurds have to get fucked over by the American state after being used and abused as a destabilizing force in the fucking region for them to come to terms with the reality that it's not happening? Okay, you will not have an Israel-style Kurdistan. Okay, it's just not gonna happen. Like you gotta use the arms and training that you got from the Americans against the Americans at some point, against the Israelis at some point. It's just insane. How many fucking Fell For It Again awards do you need? Could you please expand my limited perspective? If the Iranian negotiators agreed unwaveringly to the demands and compromise much more than the JCPOA, why couldn't they address directly to the media so they could garner more favor against the U.S. striking first? I want a Shahed drone to strike my house right now, instead of having to address the same exact fucking question for the 17 gorillionth time. The Iranian organs of government have literally gone on every single television channel they possibly can to be like, we don't want to make nukes. And it's not just the last month that they've said this. They've been saying this for like 20 fucking years. So if you as an American have not heard that from every single foreign minister, every single president you possibly could have heard this from, you have your answer. They have been saying it. No one cares because it's not even about the denuclearization agreement. I literally had the guy who wrote the fucking deal sitting right there, explain to my chat that under the Obama administration, when they successfully created a multilateral agreement, they brought in China, they brought in Russia, they brought in the EU, they created the International Atomic Energy Agency that is 90% predisposed with the Iranian nuclear program to make sure that they never have enriched uranium beyond the level of civilian usage, to show the world that the Iranians were willing to fucking cooperate in exchange for sanctions relief, and that this had nothing to do with nukes at all and everything to do with Israel's own design in the region. I had the guy who wrote the deal. He said it out loud, an American. How many times do the Iranians have to say it? They've said it 1,000,000 times. They've set forth they literally kept abiding by the JCPOA because they were like, this is a multilateral deal. Donald Trump can't single-handedly destroy this deal, right? Nope. Turns out he can. Turns out he did. And he did it for Israel. Anyway, no, brother, I'm Indian, just learning about this since 2 days. I apologize for yelling at you, chatter. Sorry. I'm sorry for yelling at you. I've just had to respond to this question so many times at this point. And I keep hearing from the Americans over and over again that like, oh, why do they just want the nukes so bad? Why do they have nukes? And it's like, they don't have nukes. And they don't want to have fucking nukes. And they've literally said that they don't want to have nukes. And the enriched uranium beyond civilian usage is simply for a fucking better leverage negotiation position. That's it. They literally are enriching uranium beyond civilian usage, not because they want to fucking build a nuke tomorrow or whatever the fuck Israel claims, but so that they can get some sanctions relief. That's it. Also, they should have nukes. I think they should have nukes. If they had nukes, it would be like North Korea. Every country in the aftermath of the dissolution of the USSR, where a separate world power could actually protect other countries under their own autonomous nuclear umbrella, you gotta build nukes. That's it. You have to build nukes. It's very clear that China is not offering that same protective cover to nations in the periphery. It's just clear. China will never do the same thing that Khrushchev did. Khrushchev, for all of his fucking failures, people are like, oh, he's a revisionist, whatever. Khrushchev was a fucking lion. He was a goddamn lion. When has there ever been another nuclear superpower that's a sovereign nation that has turned around and said, oh, you want to fuck with these guys? We will nuke you. Never. He put the nukes in Cuba. My fucking lion, dude. He allowed countries to develop at great cost to the USSR for all of their fucking domestic faults, for all of their domestic failures. It is objectively a fact that America and the fucking Western capitalists, when left without any kind of counterbalance, counterforce in the world, would basically design the planet with their endless greed and their endless hunger in this dystopian existence that we live in now. In the absence of an alternative, look where we're at since the 90s at the domestic level. Neoliberalism has destroyed this fucking country and destroyed the Western liberal capitalist safe havens. Social democracy is turning into an abject lie. Austerity, endless militarism, endless conquest, the vassalization of European nations. All of that has happened in an accelerated manner in such a vulgar way that it's impossible not to notice at this point. And that happened because there is no fucking USSR. So you can sit around and say, oh, Hasan, you're fucking tanky. You're fucking tanky. You love the USSR because you're fucking tanky all day, every day. But I'm talking about this from the perspective of like a European social democrat, for example. Did you like all of the amenities that the state was offering you? Well, that's because the capitalists had to concede. Your nation's capital overlords had to concede on those social democratic provisions because they were terrified of the alternative of communism. That's it. And the same goes for endless militarism. The USSR is gone, and now all the nations of the periphery have to suffer as a consequence of that. I remember you telling this to Jank. I know. It's funny to see all of those people that have for years and years yelled at me come to the same conclusions now. It's very interesting. I mean, Ian Bremmer literally said, it turns out it's actually totally valid for North Korea to pursue a nuclear program. Ian Bremmer, he's a liberal. Look at this. Total resounding victory for the HasanAbi doctrine. Ian Bremmer, North Korea looking a lot smarter for developing nuclear weapons despite all the international opposition and pressure. 10 years ago when I was saying this, someone like Ian Bremmer would have been like, look at this fucking psychopath. Look at this crazy guy. Iraq, no WMDs, toppled. Libya gave up the WMDs, toppled. Iran, no WMDs, attacked. North Korea, chilling. What lesson does every country take from this? It's not a tough one to figure out. It's true. Israel would not be fucking with Iran right now in the ways that it is if Iran had nukes. Look at that. Another hit in Tel Aviv.
U.S. Central Command confirms that 3 American service members have died in action.
Oh my God. Oh my God. How could this have happened? What? Oh my God. America and Israel feel untouchable, feel invincible. The Israeli population also feels invincible. The American military also feels invincible. This is what happens when that invincibility attitude meets reality. You, as an American citizen, should not allow these fucking monsters to get away with this, okay? American sons and daughters were killed for Israel. That's it. American sons and daughters were killed for Israel in a multi-billion-dollar operation that is, if successful, going to be insanely destabilizing. So even in the best case scenario, it's not good for the region. It's not good for anybody, really. Every one of those fucking carriers, whenever they do, whenever they move into the vicinity of Iran, I'm thinking, that's like 8 healthcares, okay? That's 8 healthcares right there. That's 55 schools. That's what I read it as. Every dollar spent on bombs overseas, whether it be at the behest of the petro-capitalist pedophilic cabal, whether it be at the behest of ultra-Zionists, every single dollar spent in that direction is a dollar taken away from you. A dollar taken away from your roads, fixing the potholes, fixing your infrastructure so that anytime there's like windy conditions, you don't have fucking unlimited wildfires. Every dollar spent there is a dollar that could have been spent on high-speed rail. Every dollar spent there could have built a house, given Americans better education, given Americans better health care. At some point, we have to recognize that foreign policy, which is uniparty, unfortunately, is very directly involved with shitty domestic policy. It's not something you can separate. For far too long, the average American has assumed that this is totally separate things, right? Totally separate things. It happens over there. We send our sons and daughters over there. They're protecting us. They're killing goat herders that had nothing to do with anything so that, you know, those goat herders never come and like endanger our First Amendment or something, right? Trump didn't bother spending a year propagandizing us for war because he doesn't have to. The U.S. system is deeply autocratic. We have a fake opposition party, circumscribed elections, and a foreign policy / imperial apparatus completely removed from democracy. Yeah, it's true. My assessment on that take was also similar to Mark Ames, where I said, this person, Lily Lynch, says, I keep seeing comments like they didn't even bother doing a propaganda campaign this time. Do they need to? The American people are completely pacified. Where are the mass anti-war protests like we had in Vietnam and Iraq? Nowhere. I said, I think war is changing the proxy battles with poverty draft, equipped with far better resources and a pliant media that keeps the masses sedated at levels only experienced by cattle and Hokkaido Wagyu farms. And that's not the whole story either, obviously. But the draft, like the actual draft, made this a universal reality for the working class. It made it a universal reality. Every American was fearful that their sons might go to war. They didn't want that. But for the past 30 years, 40 years, like in the post-Vietnam era, there was no need for a full-blown draft. Now, that might change in the future, but there wasn't a need for it, especially after 9/11, when there was a lot of fervor. A lot of people joined the armed forces, and they went out to battle, looking for revenge. But there is a reason why there is this passivity that you experience from your fellow Americans, because the media environment has been designed for them to never connect the dots. The media environment that we have right now makes them think, oh, it's just happening over there. Who knows? You know, I got to go to work. They don't realize that all of the necro-capitalist state that they experience here in the United States of America, all of the amenities, all the state functions getting destroyed are directly tied to where our resources are going. And our resources are always going to permanent warfare, 800 military bases, and the operation and the upkeep. That's where it's going. That's why your fucking potholes are never going to be fixed. And people do not tie that together. That's a major problem. That's a major issue in American media. That's a major issue in American organizing. That's a major issue in the fake the fake opposition party, the controlled opposition party, and the Democratic Party. That's the reason why post 9/11, post global war on terror, you don't even hear from Democrats usually. You don't see Democrats universally oppose war. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris literally said, I'm going to have the most lethal military of all time. Also, mass protests don't mean anything if there's no labor power backing it. That's the other side of the story. And sometimes even mass protests and labor power alone can't stop America's imperial endeavors anyway. That is the issue here too. The Iron Dome failed again. Multiple interceptors. Wait, what? Multiple interceptors failed to take out a missile? Okay. Reports of Iranian ballistic missile impact in Jerusalem. Several Iranian missiles just hit Jerusalem. The Iron Dome can't stop ballistic missiles anyway. This is a failure of the Arrow systems, and it's a failure of the THAADs if they have THAADs there anyway. That's what it is. This just happened. What I'm confused by is why Israel is not even trying to hide the impact sites now. That's what's interesting, because they did a fairly decent job of making this illegal and stopping the distribution of like impact sites and shit like that. I guess maybe their posture, their propaganda posture has changed to "we are small bean Israel" now, instead of "we are lion." We are lion Israel to "we are small bean Israel." We are the victim once again. Not realizing that the rest of the world does not actually see Israel as a victim at all. Even in the Western world, there is not a lot of people who see Israel as a victim, because why should they? Who the fuck would look at the situation and go, oh wow, I can't believe this is happening. It must be anti-Semitism. Bitch, you fucking struck Iran yesterday. You started this. You begged America to do this alongside you. Look. It's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy to see this happening and unfolding. And by the way, predictably, some of the establishment Democrats are literally running propaganda for the admin. This man, this bald piece of shit, was literally going to have his ranks stripped by the admin. And now he's on NBC News, Meet the Press, and this is what he has to say.
If there is a war powers vote, Senator, will you be a yes?
Well, I'm going to have to take a close look at it. I want to hear from the White House what their strategy is going forward. I would say at this point it's rather unlikely that I would be. You know, they went into this without any discussion with us ahead of time.
The administration tried to strip him of his rank and investigate him for sedition, and he's prepared to carry water for them. Yeah, let me trust this White House, dude. Let me trust this fucking White House. Here, there's more. The elimination of the Ayatollah. Is it a good thing for America? Here's Democratic Senator Chris Coons. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Of the Ayatollah. Is that a good thing for America?
Absolutely, Dana. Look, Ayatollah Khamenei was the longest serving and among the most brutal dictators in the world. He had the blood of many Americans on his hands.
What are you saying? What the fuck is happening, man? It's just like even from a pure partisan perspective, you could just literally dagger the Trump administration right now at its moment of weakness, and you choose to extend them a helping hand. What are you fucking saying? Oh, well, you know, this is a bloody war, but honestly, it's worth it because we fucking killed an 86-year-old man. You're so fucking stupid. And it's not for a real audience. Like, you need to understand something. Okay? They know that the audience is not eating this up, and they're still doing it. They know that this is not for a popular base. Like, who in America right now is like, oh, please contextualize why billions of dollars of naval assets are there protecting Israel and striking Iran right now? I really want to hear it. I really want to hear why this had to be done. No one is asking for this. You understand? Everyone is like, dude, what the fuck? We just got our soldiers killed for Israel, and you have Democrats in the supposed quote-unquote opposition party running around knowing full well that there is no popular support for this, trying to manufacture propaganda for an administration that they're supposed to be in opposition to that is not even trying to manufacture said propaganda anyway. It's fucking insane.
From the attack on Khobar Towers in Saudi to the attack on the Marine barracks in Beirut to the killing of many American service members in Iraq, the Iranian regime has been the greatest exporter of terror in the region, and I will not grieve for one moment the passing of the supreme leader of Iran. And frankly, the success in taking out many of the leaders of the IRGC.
That's incredible, dude. Incredible. You are never getting healthcare, by the way. I just want you to know. I want you to know you are never getting healthcare, okay? We are never getting healthcare. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. Like, think about this. When you hear the Democrats come out on mainstream news, on liberal outlets, and say, this is fucking good, actually, understand that they know that amongst Democrats, this is at a minus 66% approval. Yeah. We're at this situation where the public isn't going to approve of Trump's various regime change efforts because Trump himself spent the last decade convincing Americans that America First isolationism is the best foreign policy. Reuters, only 1 in 4 Americans approved the U.S. strikes that killed Iran's leader on Saturday, while about half, including 1 in 4 Republicans, believe President Donald Trump is too willing to use military force, according to Reuters Ipsos poll that was concluded on Sunday. Some 27% of respondents said they approved of the strikes, while 43% disapproved and 29% were not so sure. They're trying to get that 29% to be a part of the approval side. That's what the Democrats are doing right now. I just want you to understand that is precisely what's happening right now. Make no fucking mistake. They are literally defending the administration. The Democrats that are going on television right now and saying, it was awesome, the Ayatollah is a bad guy, I'm so glad we killed this 86-year-old dude. They are doing this knowing full well that it's unpopular in their own base. They are trying to get their own base to agree with Donald Trump. Okay? That's where we're at. That's where we're at. They are opposition forces. They are not a part of this movement. Okay? They should be treated as oppositional figures in opposition to the working class needs. That is precisely what they're doing. Unfucking believable, dude. Unfucking believable. This is one of the moments of honesty, right? This is one of the moments of honesty. When Nancy Pelosi comes out and says, we want a strong Republican Party, this is what the fuck she's talking about. This is precisely the reason why. But look at these fucking numbers. Look at these numbers. You look at these numbers and you think that the media is speaking to no one. Who is the media talking to? Why is it that it's like Democratic figures that don't oppose regime change war in Iran coming out and defending Donald Trump's actions? Why is it every fucking Republican that wants to bomb Iran that's getting a shit ton of airtime in mainstream airwaves right now? It is because they are trying to actively change the dynamic here. They see these numbers and they're fucking terrified of it because they hate you. They hate you. They hate democracy. They want you to come to terms with this. They want you to agree with these incidents, with these actions. Also, here's some more moments of confidence from our big, beautiful overlord. Trump addressed the first U.S. casualties as a part of the Iran attacks. They're great people, he told Nikki Schwab. And, you know, we expect that to happen, unfortunately. Could happen continuous. It could happen again. I mean, this is, like, even from a pure partisan perspective, this is propaganda that's writing itself. All Democrats have to do is like, look at this guy. He wants you to fucking die for Israel. What the fuck's wrong with you? So why are they not saying it? Why are they not saying it? Because they also want you to die for Israel. Any Democrat that doesn't take advantage of the fucking unimaginably unpopular initiatives by Donald Trump right now at this very moment should be seen as also a servant of the same interests, okay? You're gonna die for Israel. You're gonna fucking like it. First major poll, the Iran strikes show that they're not popular. That's slightly worse than the strikes in June, where the split was 36-45. GOP support went from 69% in June to 55% today. Oh, yes! More! And the Democrats and the fucking phony-ass controlled opposition Democrats are literally looking at these numbers and still going, how do we defend? How do we defend Donald Trump? How do we defend Israel? Even the former neocon outlet Bulwark, the rhinos, the Never Trump Republicans, are coming out and launching a better fucking opposition to what the Trump administration is doing than the motherfucking big D Democrats are, like establishment Democrats are. Whose freedom is he talking about here? Tim Miller responds to Ambassador Mike Wallace. Because if the purpose of the mission is Iranian freedom, then it's going to take a lot more sacrifice. If he's trying to imply American freedom was on the line here, that's just ridiculous. Only 21% of Americans supported the United States initiating an attack on Iran, and polling conducted in advance of the strikes that Trump ordered this weekend. Even most Republicans were opposed or not sure, with just 40% in favor. What Americans think doesn't matter. I don't say this to absolve us of responsibility. It is simply true as a matter of empirical reality. Regarding polling, that on matters of militarism and genocide, Washington Tel Aviv's war machine is further and further away from U.S. public opinion. This is why Congress has a diminished role. It's not some obscure constitutional quirk or failing. It's because the people in charge of both parties realize their sprawling death economy has little organic appeal, and they increasingly don't need to worry about popular unrest. Europe has a unique opportunity here, by the way, even more so than we do, because Europe still has some semblance of institutional pushback. Europe still has a population that feels like they're, not servants of America and Israel. And they've had tremendous action against their own governments, mobilizing in the direction of Israel during Israel's genocide. But Europe also has work stoppage capabilities. The reason why I'm saying this right now is because European leadership is going to immediately take action in the direction of Israel to defend Israel and the United States of America. They've already signaled that they're in support. France, Germany, and the UK have issued a statement condemning Iran's disproportionate response. I want to know what they think is proportionate response when invaders assassinate your head of a state and civilian leaders in an explicit campaign to destroy your government. Breaking: France's aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle is deploying to the Eastern Mediterranean due to the current Middle Eastern conflict, according to the BFM TV report. I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's out of my hands at this point. No matter how much I talk about like how this isn't like Jewish control or whatever, you will never, ever be able to convince the masses that Israel isn't this unique, special pearl that must be protected at all costs. And the easiest way for the masses to understand that is going to be through anti-Semitism. Like, that's it. That's it. No matter how much I try to fucking describe that this is like imperialism, this is superseding even the most like vulgar materialist analysis. That's it. How do you describe this to people? How do you explain to people that like Israel isn't this like very special, unique nation state that like every other fucking country is always going to drop everything to defend at all costs, no matter how violent they get? After 2.5 years of a fucking genocide, 80 years of an apartheid that people are now coming to terms with, people are now acknowledging. You got European vassal states only months after Donald Trump literally said he's going to take over a NATO nation's territory, are turning around and going, we are willing servants of both you and Israel, sir. We will defend Israel unconditionally, sir.
For the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most
Epic Fortnite Big Chungus,
most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now,
this ugly son of a bitch even took the hat off to take it a little bit more seriously. What happened, bitch? What fucking happened?
Announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes.
Epstein's fury.
Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands. And
ooh, Yeah, this came in finally. I was wondering when this was going to come in. The IDF, I was shocked by why Israel was allowing footage of successful Iranian strikes on Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem to be mass released. They even had Israeli journalists. They even had Israeli journalists on scene covering it in English because they thought, I think, that they could garner sympathy. Now they realize nobody is fucking sympathizing with them. So they're like, oh shit, we probably should not show how devastating the Iranian strikes are. IDF spokesperson finally reiterates and emphasizes not to publish or share locations or documentation of impacts. The enemy monitors these documentations in order to improve its strike capabilities.
Was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more.
That's crazy. He's literally saying, you're fucking cannon fodder. Oh my God, there has to be a military mutiny at some point, right? Like people have to be like, what the fuck are we doing? That's crazy.
Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons that would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge...
Send Barrett! Strap him to a fucking JDAM! Send Lindsey Graham! Send his fucking children! How about that? The masses demand it.
The Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom.
Dude, here is the tactical misstep that America always engages in. And it might still come to fruition. I don't know how fucking hogged out the Iranian population is. But even amongst the people who hate the Ayatollah in Iran, they still fucking hate Israel. This is not a situation where the guys are like, oh, dude, I hate the Ayatollah. The Ayatollah killed my family. The Ayatollah imprisoned my best friends for like making totally reasonable demands, all this shit. Okay, now bombs are flying overhead at the behest of Israel. Like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to fucking happen? I know that there are plenty of Iranians in Iran that don't like the Ayatollah. They don't like the Islamic Republic. I know. But they're also not fucking stupid. Like, their anger and hatred towards the Ayatollah stems from the fact that the Ayatollahs imprisoned their friends. The Islamic Republic has thrown them in prison, killed them, sometimes tortured them, right? Tortured their relatives. Okay, now you have a more swift execution in the hands of the Amer-Israeli imperialists, who would look at that situation and go, this is great, actually. I love dying. Actually, they did have someone on NPR earlier this morning who straight up said, if I die to American bombs, it's worth it. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to commit to as long as, the Ayatollah no longer remains. And to me, that is so poetically Shia. You can be the most secular Iranian, but you cannot get the Shia mentality out of the Iranian soul. You are Shia down to the fucking soul if you say some shit like that. Straight up. You're like, oh, I'm a secular liberal. I want a democracy. And also, I'm perfectly willing to sacrifice myself for no fucking reason. That right there is the most, no disrespect, I'm not being sectarian at all, but that right there is the most spiritually Shia thing you can say.
To seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Oh, what a time to be alive, folks.